Hi there, this is Meredy again with Dr. Neal, and we saw a post on Friday on the Gizmodo site about Windows 7 TouchPack being similar to Surface. Dr. Neal, what do you think of that?
In fact, I think they said the full power of Microsoft Surface with the Windows 7 TouchPack.
They did.
So it's a little bit wrong, shall we say. In fact, it's a lot bit wrong. So we have the TouchPack here on Windows 7 and we've got Lagoon running, and you can see this is, it's touch enabled. I can touch this, and we can bring up one of the other touch applications. What have we got here? We've got Surface Collage, and actually I don't think Microsoft does themselves any favours calling it Surface, because it leads people to believe that this is Surface. Now, the first thing is, this is not very social. Look at the way we're standing, and actually if you move over here to stand in front of the camera, it would be even worse. We're both kind of facing the screen. We're not facing each other over a table, so we don't have the social aspects.
Right.
The second thing about this application, I mean, yeah, sure, it's multi-touch, great, but it's very single user. Like, as soon as someone else tries to use it at the same time, even with a big screen like this, it becomes a problem. I then start thinking about the other great things that Surface does. So, here's my identity tag. Let me put my identity tag down. Now, it falls off. That's no good, is it? So, Surface, it has some facets to it that are very, special. The fact that it's a table, the fact that this doesn't do object routing, it doesn't do anything with the object tag. It doesn't know what this is. This is, this is something that's special to Surface. In some ways, calling it a Surface application is a total misnomer. This is a multi-touch application for a single user on Windows 7, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's some great stuff, and we've been working on some cool stuff on Windows 7 with multi-touch for the education product group in Redmond. But this is not Surface. There's a lot of differences. It's not social. It's not object recognition. It's touch.
So how is the Surface camera different than the way that this machine handles touch?
Well, actually, this does use cameras. The Touch Smart does have a very basic vision system, but it doesn't have doesn't have the 5 cameras behind looking at there. You can't see what's actually put on the screen in terms of, as it's laying on the screen. All it sees is it's actually looking from angles, and I think these ones only have 2 cameras, and it's looking down to see what's happening. The other thing is you'll get obfuscation problems. You'll see this if you bring up something like Paint, which you wouldn't have on a Surface unit. So as I move my fingers around, actually this is working reasonably well, but you'll lose track. There you go. You lose track of, as one finger crosses over another finger, the touch system can lose track of which finger is which finger, because the way it's doing the recognition, which Surface doesn't have, because Surface is looking directly from underneath.
Right.
And this just doesn't, a screen like this just doesn't have the depth to do that,
right.
Which is why Surface is quite a deep unit, because it's looking up with cameras, at what's happening on the tabletop.
So if we were to lay this flat,
Yep.
and have 4 people sit around it, how would it be different from the Surface?
Well, the main thing is the object recognition. So you still don't get the recognition. Yeah, sure, you could start getting some multi-user, but Windows itself is not multi-user. I still have the Windows shell here, and even when I go into these, full-screen applications like the Surface Collage, it takes over the Windows shell, but I still have this cross up here. I still am very one-sided in the application. This is not a multi-sided application. It has a top and a bottom. These photos are shown with an orientation. It's not 360-degree UI. It's not saying you couldn't build a 360-degree UI, and you could lay a large touchscreen down. You still wouldn't have the object recognition. It would probably be maybe a little bit cheaper than a full Surface unit, a large touchscreen laid horizontally, but you do lose things like tag recognition and then being able to build your own vision recognition systems.
And the Surface also can handle 52 points of contact.
Right, so there's no Windows 7 device out there that can handle as many points of contact. Actually, 52 is what we test with, but there's many more that is hardware capable of dealing with. Windows 7 is really designed for kind of maximum 10 to 12 points of contact. Most people have 10 fingers, so you're not going to get. And most hardware actually isn't even capable of dealing with 10.
Pretty much 2.
Most Windows Touch hardware that's available at the moment is really dual touch, which is not dissimilar from these devices. In the the iPhone, which in many ways is kind of seen as the I guess a lot of people look at the table and they look at touch and they go, oh well, Apple did it first with the iPhone, but Apple's iPhone is really a dual touch device, and Surface is massive multi-touch, multi-user, social. It's all those extra things. So Windows 7 TouchPack, cool, but no, it's not Surface, not by a long way.
Right. And if you went to try to use it in some of the venues where Surface is being used, it wouldn't ever take the place of Surface, because you couldn't have the object recognition in the restaurants and the different...
Yeah, and I mean, you'd have to end up building your own kiosk shell, which Surface has already done, right? Surface is already creating with the Surface shell. If you want, like we talked about the other day, if you want to go and have one app running, and you go single app mode, then Surface Shell provides that capability. Whereas Windows 7 doesn't out of the box. Windows 7 is a desktop client application to have lots of different apps running at the same time. That's what it's designed for. So you'd end up having to build your own shell on top of it. Right. You might as well just buy a Surface, which has already got it done for you.
So as you can see, the Microsoft Surface really is completely different than Windows 7 multi-touch.
Yep.
And we thank you for your time, Dr. Neil.
Thank you.